Every woman already knows what you want. The question is, do you know how to make her want to give it to you? That is the point that separates men who beg from those who command. Most enter a conversation with women trying to ask, trying to explain, trying to convince with logic and good arguments why she should give attention, affection, or whatever it may be. And that makes them predictable, emotionally cheap. Men who ask are forgettable men. Men who project power are impossible to ignore. Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power, states without hesitation, power is not begged for, it is projected. And that is exactly what you need to understand today. Because when you activate the right triggers, when you control her perception, when you dominate the atmosphere of the interaction, she does not feel that she was convinced. She feels that it was her idea to give you what you wanted from the beginning. And that is the real secret. It is not vulgar manipulation, it is refined emotional strategy. It is mastery of frame, calibration of presence, and precise reading of the female psyche. What activates a woman's desire is not logic, it is the sensation that you are a rare man, a man she needs to please, conquer, deserve. Because deep down she wants to give, but only when she feels that you are the kind of man who does not ask. And if you are still using phrases like, "Can I see you today? Do you want to go out with me? Answer me when you can." You are positioning yourself as someone who waits for approval, as someone who needs permission, as someone who begs. And the woman feels this, not with her mind, but with her body, with her instinct, with her unconscious that detects weakness disguised as kindness. Women do not react to logic, they react to the perception of power. And power begins when you understand that you are not there to convince, you are there to be inevitable. Today, you will learn to provoke surrender, to make her want to give you, not because you asked, but because you knew how to lead. And this is the game that few men master, but those who master it never need to ask for anything again. They simply receive because they have become impossible to ignore. Frame is everything. Whoever owns the atmosphere owns the reward. Think about it. How many times have you started a conversation where everything looked promising at first, but slowly you found yourself chasing? You were the one trying to keep the talk alive, trying to make her smile, trying to hold her interest. That is not just a small slip. That is the very moment you lost the frame. And when you lose the frame, you lose the entire game. The frame is not about clever words or endless effort. It is the invisible structure that decides who leads and who follows. It sets the rhythm, the mood, and even the value of what is exchanged. If she holds the frame, you will notice yourself reacting, bending, adjusting, reshaping yourself to fit her world. And the more you adjust, the less power you hold. But when the frame is yours, everything changes. She starts to adjust to you, she watches your silence, she notices your timing, she listens to your tone. You become the center of gravity, and suddenly it is her who wonders, am I good enough for him? Machiavelli wrote that true power is never declared, it is felt. A ruler does not beg his subjects to respect him. His presence alone demands it. In the same way, a man with a solid frame does not announce it, he simply lives it. His posture, his calmness, his refusal to chase, that is what speaks. And here lies the paradox. When you control the frame, she begins to chase you without realizing it. She feels your attention could vanish at any moment, and that possibility pushes her to prove herself, to give, to please. She starts working for the validation you never asked for. The dominant frame is not loud, it is silent. It shows in posture. The way you sit, the way you stand, the way you move without hurry. It is body language that radiates value without you having to prove anything. It is in your voice. The tone of someone who doesn't need to beg, who speaks with calm conviction, who never rushes to fill the silence. It is in your eyes, not eyes that plead, but eyes that observe, that watch more than they try to persuade. A man with a strong frame looks as though he already has everything under control. He doesn't chase approval because he doesn't need it. And this is exactly where most men fail. They try to win a woman with words, with promises, with endless attempts to impress. But she is not listening to the words, she's feeling the energy behind them. She is testing your structure, waiting to see if you can hold it, or if you will collapse at the first emotional push. That is why you never ask directly. You hint, you suggest, You allow her to step into your world instead of begging to enter hers. Notice the difference. I want to see you today. Needy, seeking approval. I'll be passing by this place if you want, show up. Calm, commanding presence. One begs, the other leads. And in her body, she feels the difference instantly. Do you want to know if you truly hold the dominant frame, or if she is the one guiding you? The test is simple. Ask yourself, does she adjust her plans for you, or are you the one always adjusting for her? Does she reward you without you asking, or are you constantly giving in the hope of not being discarded? If you are always working to keep her interest alive, you do not own the frame. You are a hostage to it. But the moment you claim the atmosphere, everything changes. She begins to look for your signals. She pays attention to your silences. She wonders what you are thinking. Slowly, she starts moving around you because now you are the center of the experience. And whatever revolves around you becomes more valuable simply because it is within your orbit. Remember, the frame is not about forced control. It is not about dominating with noise. It is about presence, about emotional leadership. Every man who builds and holds his own frame naturally draws surrender from the feminine. Because a woman only truly gives when she feels she is in front of a man who doesn't need her, but who knows exactly how to lead her. Reward trigger, the hidden weapon that divides weak men from powerful men. One lives on scraps, begging for affection. The other is fed endlessly, not because he asked, but because he mastered the art of making her want to give. Look at the difference. One man floods a woman with attention, messages, compliments, gifts, yet receives indifference in return. Another speaks little, withholds often, and she bends herself to please him, desperate for even the smallest gesture. The difference is not wealth, it is not beauty, it is not social standing. It is one principle alone, the ability to turn your attention into a reward that must be earned. The female psyche does not treasure what costs nothing. Abundance without effort breeds contempt. A man who is always available becomes invisible, like water flowing from a tap, useful but taken for granted. But the man who positions himself as a prize, who requires effort, who creates a sense of conquest, he becomes fire. Dangerous, irreplaceable. She does not just want him, she feels she must win him. This is why the man who understands the reward trigger never pleads, never bargains, never explains. His presence is not the default, it is the trophy. His validation is not casual, it is sacred. And because of this, she begins to compete. She invests, she gives. Every gesture from him feels like victory, and victories are addictive. Psychology names this law intermittent reinforcement. The same principle that enslaves gamblers to casinos binds women to men who know how to use it. The thrill is never in the certainty. Certainty is death. The thrill is in suspense, the unpredictability of the reward, the not knowing when or how much. A woman who never knows when your attention will come, or whether she has done enough to earn it, remains locked in desire. She chases not because she planned to, but because her nervous system has been rewired to do so. Machiavelli explained this centuries ago. In The Prince, he warned, "Men value most what is difficult to attain." He advised rulers never to give away favors too freely, because generosity without scarcity makes subjects ungrateful. A wise ruler makes his rewards rare so that each one binds loyalty tighter. Seduction is no different. If you hand your attention out like coins in a marketplace, it becomes worthless. But if you make it scarce, deliberate, and earned, it turns to gold. Certainty kills desire. Predictability suffocates attraction. True pleasure lives in contrast, the push and pull, the silence after presence, the uncertainty of whether she has done enough. That uncertainty is tension, and tension is the soil in which desire grows. Consider this. Which moment marks her deeper? The endless compliments you hand out daily, or the single compliment she fought to extract after silence? Which burns longer, the constant flood of messages sent out of fear, or the one message after she thought she had lost you? The answer is obvious. The human brain treasures what is won through effort, and women are no different. The tragedy is that most men reverse this law. They give more when she withdraws, they validate her indifference, they invest more when she offers nothing. Each time they confirm their low value. Each time they turn themselves into water, always flowing, always available, never rare. And the more they give freely, the less they are worth. Here lies the paradox. The more you give without resistance, the less she values you. The less you give, but with precision, the more priceless you become. The man who cannot hold back destroys his own value. The man who rewards with discipline builds an empire of loyalty around himself. And this is why a man who understands the reward trigger becomes unforgettable. Not because of status, not because of noise, but because of rarity. Every glance he gives feels earned. Every smile feels like a crown. Every silence feels like a test. And every reward feels like a conquest. He does not inspire comfort, he inspires obsession. And once a woman feels she must conquer you, she will give more than you ever asked, because in her mind, pleasing you becomes survival. That is why the real secret lies in the technique of retention and release. Retention is the discipline of not giving everything at once. It is the ability to hold back your responses, to measure your presence, to resist the temptation of being emotionally available every time she calls. Retention makes your attention rare, and rarity creates value. Release is the opposite, but it is intentional. It is the deliberate act of giving only when she has earned it, when she invests, when she shows effort, when she proves her value. That is when you lean in, when you reward, when you allow her closer. This cycle builds an unconscious association in her mind. Every time she gives you something, attention, effort, care, she is rewarded. And with each reward, her brain records a deeper pattern. Giving to you feels good. The result is powerful. She begins to seek the feeling again. She wants to please you, to invest more, to give you more than you even imagined. It might look like manipulation from the outside, but it isn't. It is pure psychodynamics. All human behavior is shaped by stimulus and reward. The difference is that you are applying this with awareness. Most men do the exact opposite. They reward indifference, they validate disdain, they give more when she gives nothing, and the result is always the same: devaluation. The example is simple. A man who alternates moments of intense presence with deliberate absence creates a magnetic effect that few women can escape. His presence feels like sunlight, warm, commanding, and rare. His absence feels like night, unpredictable, uncertain, and dangerous. This rhythm of presence and absence is not random, it is design. And under this design, her psychology cannot remain still. She begins to feel an invisible pressure. I must win him back. I must do more. I must prove myself before his attention drifts away. Every small effort she makes becomes part of the investment. Every gesture, every attempt to reconnect, every move to gain his notice turns into a form of submission. And when he finally rewards her, a glance, a smile, a single act of recognition, her brain attaches pleasure to the act of giving. This is not conscious. This is instinct. It is a chemical bond, a loop of desire reinforced again and again. But understand this: retention is not cruelty. It is not cold silence. It is mastery. Most men either suffocate a woman with constant attention until it loses all value, or they disappear completely, creating only distance and bitterness. Both extremes destroy attraction. The power lies in calibration, in the precise control of tension and release. Retention is the discipline of withholding. Release is the art of rewarding. Together they create a rhythm that makes your presence unforgettable. Because what is rare is always remembered, and what is common is always forgotten. She begins to compete, not with other women, but with herself. Am I enough for him? Am I losing him? Did I please him? And in that competition, she gives more. This is the core of Machiavelli's wisdom. In The Prince, he wrote that a ruler must create dependence. When people depend on him, they cannot rebel. The same law applies in desire. When your rhythm and your frame make her dependent on your approval, she cannot afford to lose you. She works harder, invests deeper, and gives more. Not because you asked, but because she fears losing access to what is rare. The man who understands this never again falls into reactive mode. He does not beg for time. He does not explain his worth. He does not lower his standards in hope of acceptance. He leads, he provokes with silence, he rewards with precision. He creates an atmosphere where her only path to certainty is through pleasing him. And this is where the game flips. Most men enter a woman's presence as if they owe her something: her beauty, her time, her attention. They act as though they are standing before a queen, waiting for judgment, offering proof of their value. That is the greatest mistake a man can make. Because the moment you believe you are in debt, you place yourself beneath her. Women feel this instantly. They don't need words. They sense the vibration of a man who waits to be chosen instead of choosing. And once she knows you are in that position, the power is gone. The frame is hers. And if the frame is hers, you have already lost. Every interaction between man and woman is not small talk. It is a silent negotiation of value. Dance of perception where one leads and the other follows. And in that dance, one law never changes. The man who asks loses. The man who chooses commands. When you communicate, without saying a word, that you have options, that you are whole with or without her, something ancient awakens inside her. It is not reason, it is instinct. The female unconscious reacts the way it has for centuries, with competition. The moment she feels she must conquer you, desire intensifies. The moment she feels she already owns you, attraction fades. This is the foundation of the abundance mindset. It is not arrogance, it is posture. It is the calm certainty of a man who does not beg for company, who evaluates rather than submits. He is not seeking to be accepted into her world, he is measuring whether she is worthy to step into his. And that single inversion changes everything. Suddenly, she sees him not as another man to be chosen, but as the prize she risks losing. That is why your language matters. The weak man asks, "Do you want to go out with me?" The man of power states, "I'll be in this place. If you want, meet me there." Do you see the difference? One positions himself as a petitioner. The other stands as a sovereign. One waits for approval. The other offers an opportunity. And the female body, more than her mind, reacts to that shift immediately. Train this posture until it becomes natural. Speak less, observe more. Value silence more than words. Move as if every step protects an empire, because in truth, your time, your focus, and your energy are an empire. And only a woman who understands that will fight to earn her place within it. The result? You no longer justify yourself to be accepted. You no longer hope for attention. Instead, you are desired precisely because you are inaccessible. A man who chooses leads. And the man who leads never needs to beg, he simply receives. As Mystery, one of the great strategists of seduction, once said, "The secret is not to show yourself as available, but to show yourself as too valuable to be ignored." That is not a trick, it is a principle. It is the essence of power itself. True strength is not effort, but position. Not convincing, but provoking. Not chasing, but awakening. When you master the cycle of attraction, curiosity, challenge, reward, you create something close to enchantment. She observes you from a distance. She feels the challenge in your silence, in your detachment. And when she finally receives a reward, a glance, a word, a moment, her pleasure deepens into loyalty. This is why true feminine surrender never comes from requests. It comes from perception, from scarcity, from calibrated presence. She gives because she fears losing you. She invests because she knows you are not replaceable. She competes because she feels access to you is rare. And rarity is the one thing human nature cannot resist. A man who asks is always proving himself. A man who commands through presence never has to. He makes her feel that if she does not invest, she will lose something unique, something other women will never touch. And that something is him, in his rarest, most selective, most strategic form. This is the secret hidden in female behavior. She gives more when she stands before a man she could lose. A man who does not react, but who chooses with clarity. A man who carries himself like a sovereign, not a supplicant. So ask yourself, do you want to be the man who begs for crumbs of attention, or the man she cannot afford to lose? This choice is present in every phrase you speak, every silence you hold, every moment you decide to lead as someone on a mission, not someone in need. Remember this: you are not here to ask for space. You are here to occupy space, to dominate the atmosphere so completely that you become impossible to ignore. And when you do, she does not just give, she finds pleasure in giving, because she knows that if she doesn't, she risks losing something irreplaceable. This is the new era of masculine seduction, the end of begging, the beginning of mastery. The age of the man who provokes surrender and receives, not because he asked, but because he became non-negotiable, unmistakable, unforgettable.